Folks, it's happening. History is on the doorstep for the Edmonton Oilers as they take on the Florida Panthers in Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Finals. Lots of storylines heading into this one. Did the Oilers use up all their scoring? Did the Panthers really throw Game 4 to win this on home ice in Game 5? Who knows? But before we get into that, make sure to subscribe here to Oilers Digest as we are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Thanks for joining along the ride as we get into the rest of the Stanley Cup Final and into the draft in free agency. But before we get into the draft in free agency, before any and all of that, we have to discuss Oilers-Panthers Game 5. And lots of storylines heading into this one. But Connor McDavid, just ridiculous. Another 4-point night from him. Another big night from the Oiler captain, putting the team on his back, as Corey Perry said post-game. Of course, McDavid assisting on a Corey Perry goal, which turned out to be the game winner. Oilers were up 3-0 and 4-1 at one point, and then the Florida Panthers seemed to make things interesting, making it 4-3 at one point, and then Connor McDavid sealing the game with an empty netter after what seemed to be a tremendous Matthew Tkachuk save on the goal line, but that was rendered useless. Now, lots of questions to go over this game, not just the breakdown, but individual players. And, I mean, who better to start off with? Connor McDavid doing Connor McDavid things. Is this any surprise to you? Is this any surprise to me? Absolutely not, but we'll get into it. When this turns into that, that's when you know you have something special on your hands with Connor McDavid. He's able to turn, nothing into everything. And just looking at the stats here, he moved into top 4 of a single postseason scoring record. Of course, 42 points in that one. Just ridiculous. The names that he's amongst, when you pass a Gretzky record, of course, in game, I believe number 4, yes, game 4, he broke the single postseason assist record with his 32nd assist, and that generated a big ovation from the Rogers Place crowd. Of course, it's not every day you see a Wayne Gretzky playoff record being broken. I mean, this is ridiculous. Is Connor McDavid human? We've yet to find out. Will he hit another level in Game 6 and hopefully a Game 7? You might. When his back's against the wall, that's when he turns up best. And another player who turns up best when his back is against the wall, that's right, Stuart Skinner. Just fantastic ever since the reset in the Vancouver series. Of course, he didn't start games 3 and 4. Calvin Pickard of the Edmonton Oilers did. And then Stuart Skinner came back in Game 5 that series and managed to bounce back quite heavily. Stat here saying Skinner is 13-8 with a 2.53 goals against average, an 898 save percentage, and one shutout in 21 starts this postseason. But he has come through in clutch games. According to NHL stats in games 4 through 7 of this year's playoffs, he's 9-0 with a 1.56 goals against average, a 9.936 save percentage, and one shutout. In elimination games this year, he's 4-0 with a 175 goals against average and a 928 save percentage. So, I mean, those are like Andre Vasilevsky numbers. The guy is a machine when his back is against the wall, when the Oilers are on the brink of elimination, because the Oilers are undefeated this postseason in potential elimination games, and when the going gets tough, they just seem to perform. Chris Knoblauch said, "You look back to November where this team hit pretty much rock bottom," Knoblauch said Wednesday. "The expectations were very high from the outside and definitely inside, wanting to have a successful season and getting off to a slow start." Of course, before the season, in September training camp, multiple Oilers were confirmed to have said this is a cup or bust season. And, the turmoil with head coach Jay Woodcroft, he was the sacrificial lamb when it came to trying to turn the ship around, trying to, get this Oiler team back to where they should be. And Kris Knoblauch was the perfect candidate to get into that. Of course, there was a lot of doubt on Knoblauch heading into the season. Of course, he was, McDavid's junior coach. Was this a McDavid decision? And no, it wasn't. It was all Jeff Jackson. He had his eye on Kris Knoblauch from the very start, even when Knoblauch was with the New York Rangers organization. Continuing on here, when you're dead last in the NHL at one point, you knew things were going to rebound, things were going to start going in a positive direction. But I think guys were just able to say, okay, let's just start playing hockey right now. It can't get any worse than this. And that's absolutely true. You can't worry about falling back anymore. I think that was a big lesson. And I've said this over and over and over again. Kris Knoblauch was the cool-headed guy. you need it in that locker room. You don't see him, fire off to the refs, to the media. He's very calm, he's very collected, and that's exactly what this Oilers team needed at a time like this. When your back is against the wall, there's no sense getting stressed at all. Like, it's just going to make things absolutely worse for you. And he's managed to turn this team around completely, along with the defensive coach, Paul Coffey, his assistant coach, on the bench as well. But all this positive talk, of course, the Oilers back into a 3-2 series deficit. It was a lot worse than 3-0, absolutely, that's for sure. But is there room for improvement? And of course, there always is. When your back is against the wall, you can always improve. You can always, make this team better as the deeper the season gets. There's lots of things you can fine-tune, lots of things you can sort of work out. Is it too late to sort of form new chemistry? I do believe it is. You don't want to do this against the Florida team that is a obviously well-oiled machine, no pun intended, compared to the Edmonton Oilers, where that team comes at you in waves. You got guys like Carter Verhaeghe, Sam Reinhart, Sam Bennett, just a robot in net, and Sergei Bobrovsky, and then Paul Maurice, who himself has been in the game for a very long time, knows the ins and the outs, and he knows exactly how to win. Has he won a Stanley Cup? No, but he has been to the dance multiple times. But there's always room for improvement. NHL said big numbers guy here with the Oilers on Twitter. He said 25 and 86, which would be Darnell Nurse and Philip Broberg, held a 4 expected goal percentage tonight at 5-on-5. They're at 31% overall. Of course, the Oilers sort of caved in a little bit at 5-on-5. They only won 40% of the draws in the defensive zone last night. Of course, those are big draws to win, unless or otherwise you give Florida main possession in the O zone, and the Florida Panthers did control the puck a lot in the Oilers zone last night, and it led to the Panthers coming in waves, and the Oilers holding the fort down, weathering that storm. But again, you don't really want to do that every single game against the Florida Panthers, otherwise they will make you pay. And said also had this to say, the second line in pairing are my top concerns after that game. The second line, of course, with I do believe Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Leon Draisaitl. Those are the two. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is struggling at even strength, and I think it's very clear Draisaitl is injured. Now, of course, Draisaitl, there is concern there on the power play. He doesn't look like his effective self. He's still skating very, very well. I mean, he's always been a power skater, but on the power play, you can see that cross-seam pass for the one-timer isn't exactly an option explored by the Oilers anymore. I'm not too sure if Draisaitl is dealing with a back injury, or he's more so a decoy for Connor McDavid to exactly, dipsy doodle in the O-zone and do his thing. But there is some concern that in the 2022 playoffs, Leon had a high ankle sprain, and he was able to still do magnificent things along with 2023 against the LA Kings in the Golden Knights. So it's a little bit concerning to see Draisaitl not be 100%. That's something that you need, your top guy to come in, and with your back against the wall, you need him to show up with Connor McDavid. Also, wrong quote there, my bad. NHL also said, there's not a lot of options, and it's too late to experiment at this point, like I said earlier. Darnell Nurse led the team in 5-on-5 time on ice, which cannot happen. I guess the best solution is to simply limit his time on ice, give more to Brett Kulak, and hope/pray the second line improves with Nuge and Leon Draisaitl. And again, hammering home the point of Stuart Skinner and Connor McDavid continuing to have a masterclass in the playoffs in elimination games, potential elimination games, and that's exactly what you need against a potent Florida Panthers team. You need everybody to give it their all, go pretty much balls to the wall, as their season is on the line for the next 2 games, one confirmed for sure. But with the Oilers, I'm not really that concerned. I mean, you've seen them rattle off these win streaks. There was a stat saying after a 3-game losing streak, they won 4 in a row after every single time, and that happened on 3 occurrences. But into Game 6, I'm excited. I know lots of Oil Country is excited. The best atmosphere in the league. It'll show on TV, and it'll just be tremendously it'll be an experience. That's all I gotta say. I'm even giddy thinking about it, to be quite honest with you. But let me know what you think about the Game 5 analysis and any questions or concerns heading into Game 6. What do you think the Oilers need to do? What do you think they need to stop doing? Any lineup concerns? Any common concerns? Let me know in the comments. I mean, lots of things to ask about this Oilers team. But anyways, take it easy for now. I'm Matt.